we will learn how to graph quadratic function. Before that, please take note that the graph of quadratic function is a parabola. Okay? The graph of quadratic function is a parabola. When you say parabola, it is a curve. A curve that opens either upward or downward. Okay? It opens upward if the value of a is positive, and it will open downward if the value of a is negative. Okay, again, I'll repeat. The graph of the function will open upward if the value of a is positive. It will open downward if the value of a is negative. Let's have first an example wherein we have, by the way, parabola. Let me write parabola. Parabola is the graph of quadratic function. It is a curve that opens either upward or downward. Okay. You will learn more about how to graph this by this example. Let's have the same function. Well, we have y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. We have x squared minus 2x minus 3. And let us, to graph this function, we need first to write it in vertex form. So we write y equals, then we write x squared minus 2x, then plus 1 minus 8 minus 1. Therefore, y equals x minus 1 squared minus 9. This time, it is in vertex form. Since it is in the vertex form, you can find the vertex. The vertex is hk. Therefore, in this problem, h, you need to get the opposite sign of whatever number here, get the opposite sign. So 1. From negative 1, get the opposite, positive 1. And then for k, negative 9. That is the vertex. When I say vertex, it is the turning point of the graph or the parabola. It's turning point. So we can now graph. I will now graph the function. Okay. So this is the x-axis and the y-axis. X-axis is the horizontal, y-axis is the vertical line. And then origin, 0, 0. From the origin to the right, these are positive numbers. To the left, negative numbers. Above the origin, positive numbers. Then below, negative. Locate 1, negative 1. Take note now, 1 is x equal y. So 1, negative 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So here, this is the point 1, negative 9. So if you locate 1, negative 9, it is located here in this part, this one. That is the vertex. Now, since A is positive, or A is greater than 1, that means the graph will open upward. Okay, the graph will open upward. And then we need to find the x-intercepts. To find the x-intercepts, x-intercept is the point along the x-axis where the graph will cross. Let y equals 0. To get the x-intercept, let y equals 0. So from the original equation, y equals x squared minus 2x minus 8, I will change y to 0 to get x squared minus 2x minus 8. And then factoring, apply factoring. X times x is x squared. 8 is 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And then, since negative yung 8, there should be one negative and one positive. Negative 4 and positive 2 to get negative 2. And then 0 product property, x minus 4 equals 0. So x is positive 4. The other one is x plus 2 equals 0. X equals negative 2. Therefore, the two x-intercepts are 4 and negative 2. Locate positive 4 sa x. 1, 2, 3, 4. Locate negative 2. Okay. Next, find the y-intercept. Y-intercept Y-intercept is the point along the y-axis where the graph will cross. So to find the y-intercept, let x equal 0. All x will be 0. So from the original function, all x will be 0. So the term without x will be retained. In this case, negative 8. Therefore, the y-intercept is negative 8. Negative 8 is 2. So we have the vertex, 1, negative 9. The x-intercepts, 4 and negative 2. The y-intercept, negative 8. Connect those 4 points. We can only connect them if we use a curve. Okay. That is the curve. It passes through negative 2 in x, then negative y, and negative 8 in y. The vertex or the turning point, okay, the vertex, this is the vertex, the point where the graph turns up to the second x-intercept, which is positive 4. This is negative 2 and then positive 4. That is the graph of the quadratic function, which is y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. It opens upward because a is positive. And then those are the x-intercepts, the vertex, then the y-intercept. And then there is no maximum point. There is no maximum because it will extend infinitely upward. But there is a minimum. Okay. Take note that if the graph opens down upward, there is no maximum point, but there is a minimum point. The minimum point is the vertex itself. Okay, the minimum point is the vertex itself. In this case, 1, negative 9. Okay. Another term is axis of symmetry. Let's say axis of symmetry, that is a line that will divide the graph in symmetry. Okay. If I will draw a line here, okay, that is the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry here, axis of symmetry is a symmetry, symmetrical. Okay, if I follow this, it will be para mirror sila. Axis of symmetry here is x equals 1. Okay, because this is the point where the axis of symmetry passes. X equals 1, or can be 1, 0. Or simply x equals 1. It's the axis of symmetry. Now, let us talk about the domain and range. When I say domain are the values of x. Domain. In quadratic function, domain is always value of x. Set of all real numbers. So can be written as x equals all elements of real numbers. Meaning, in quadratic function, either it opens upward or downward. Domain are all numbers. Okay? Domain is the set of all real numbers. Okay. If we talk about range, it depends on the value of y. Okay. Range is a value of y. Now, if the graph opens upward, the values of the range will only up to negative 9. Negative 9 is the last value for the range. And downward are not the values for range. Therefore, y should be greater than or equal to negative 9. Up to negative 9 only is the value of the range. That's why we have y is greater than or equal to negative 9. Meaning, below negative 9 are not part of the values for y. Only from negative 9 upward, or negative 9 and bigger number. All of them are the value for range. So this is the domain and the range. Again, for quadratic function, domain is always the set of all real numbers. And then for the value of range, it depends on the opening. of the parabola. If it opens upward or downward, the range will be, if it opens upward, it will be greater than. If it opens downward, it should be less than. Okay, any questions? Any questions about graphing quadratic function? So you will answer 1 to 5 only. 1 to 5 only. In page 146 to 147. So please take a look at this example as your reference. And if you have any questions, this is the time to ask your questions. We still have 5 minutes. Do you like another example, class? Do you want me to show another example of writing in vertex form up to graphing? So let me show you another example. I will erase now the first example. Okay, quadratic function. This time I will be showing one example which is a negative value of a, meaning this is a graph that opens downward. So this is the function y equals negative x squared plus 7x minus 10. Okay, the given quadratic function is y equals negative x squared plus 7x minus 10. With this form given to us, we can actually say that this is a graph that opens downward because the value of a is negative 1. Okay? If a is a negative number or less than 0, the graph will open downward. So let us first write this in vertex form. I will write this in vertex form first. So y equals, I will be writing negative outside the parentheses. Negative 1 outside the parentheses. So x squared. Since there's a negative 1 outside the parentheses, instead of plus 7, it will be minus 7x. Because there is a negative sign outside. Negative times negative equals plus minus 10. Y equals negative 1 times x squared minus 7x. There should be a number here. To get this number, you will compute 7 over 2. 7 over 2, which is not divisible by 2, so you simply write it that way. And then square 49 over 4. Okay, plus 49 over 4. Now, we added 49 over 4 here. We need to subtract. But since there's a negative outside, consider that negative. Negative 1 times positive 49 over 4. So it will become negative. So here we write plus 49 over 4. It became plus because there is minus outside. You first need to multiply negative 1 and 49 over 4. It will become negative 49 over 4. That's why we need to add 49 over 4 in the last part. Continue. Y equals negative times the quantity x minus 7 over 2 squared. And then I will change 10 to 40 over 4. 10 became 40 over 4. 40 over 4 is 10. The reason why I converted it to 40 over 4 to easily combine it with 49 over 4. Plus because 49 is bigger than 40, the sign of 49 will be copied. 9 over 4. So we have this vertex form. Hence, we can now write vertex The vertex here is, since negative, we use positive 7 over 2 and then 9 over 4. So those are the values of x and y, or the vertex, so turning point. Now let us find the x-intercept. X-intercept. Let y equal 0, so we get the equation negative x squared plus 7x minus 10 equals 0. Factoring, we have negative x times x. 10 will be 5 times 2. Negative 5, positive 2. To get positive 7. Negative x times negative 5, positive 5x plus 2x, 7x. 2 times negative 5 equals negative 10. Zero product property, we will get negative x plus 2 equals 0. So negative x equals negative 2. Multiply both sides by negative 1, x equals 2. That is the first x-intercept. The second x-intercept is x minus 5 equals 0, x equals 5. The second x-intercept is 5. For the y-intercept, just write all of this will become 0. Therefore, y-intercept is negative 10. Even without solving, we can easily determine that the y-intercept is negative 10 because these two terms will become 0. So y-intercept is negative 10. Okay, let us now graph. We are now ready to graph x-axis, and then we have the y-axis. Okay, since we have fractions, we can estimate them by decimal. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 over 2 is 3.5. So it will be between 3 and 4, 3.5. And then 9 over 4 is 9 divided by 4, 2. And then 2 and 1 half. 2 and 1 fourth, sorry. 2 and 1 fourth. So positive also. 2 and 1 fourth. So 2 and 1 fourth, if this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. 2 and 1 fourth is somewhere here. So the intersection of 3 and 1 half. So this is the point, the vertex. 3 and 1 half. Okay. Tapat ng 3 and 1 half ito. 3 and 1 half is between 3 and 4. So 7 over 2. And then 2 and 1 fourth dito. Ito yung 9 over 4. This is the vertex. Next, the x-intercept, 2 and 5. 2 and 5. This is 2, this is 5. Y-intercept, negative 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is negative 10. Connect those 4 points. Okay. So you can see the graph opens downward. You can only connect those 4 points if you will be drawing a curve that is opening downward. It's impossible to draw a curve or to connect all points using upward curve. It will always be downward. It opens downward because A is negative. This is the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry, which is x equals 7 over 2. Okay. Axis of symmetry is x equals 7 over 2. Axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is always x. There's no y equals in axis of symmetry. Next is so ito yung vertex, turning point, x-intercepts, y-intercept. You also need to find the domain. Domain is x, elements of real number. When you say domain, it is all the real numbers, or all numbers in short, elements of real numbers. For the range, since it opens downward, it should be less than y is less than or equal. A while ago, it opens upward. We use range is y greater than or equal. This time, since it is opening downward, less than, meaning pababa. Okay? And then here, we should include 9 over 4. Okay? That is the range. 9 over 4 below. Those numbers which are bigger than 9/4 are not part of the range. Domain, all real numbers. Range is y is less than or equal to 9/4. In short, you will notice that axis of symmetry is simply the x in the vertex or h, and then the range is simply the k or the y in the vertex. This take note of that. Okay, so that's the last example. We have be able to graph quadratic function which is opening downward or the value of a is negative. Any questions? Class, do you have any questions before we end? Yes, Edward. Edward, you raised your hand. Do you have any questions? You can type your question in our chat box or you can unmute your microphone so that I can hear your voice and tell
Paano
me.
nga
Yes,
paano nga po yung method po ng pag-complete ng square para makuha yung vertex form?
pag-compute ng square dito.
Apa.
Okay, ang method dito, after you group together the term containing x squared and then the term containing x, you need to allocate one space here for the third term. To get this third term, you need to use this b. Whatever number here beside x, use that number. In this case, 7. Divide it by 2. Constant yung divisor na 2. This divisor which is 2 is constant. Whichever problem, always divide the number, whatever number, with 2. In this case, 7 is not divisible by 2. Not divisible. Pero kung divisible siya, you need to divide it. For example, 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. In this case, 7, do not divide by 2. Simply stay with fraction. And then square it. Square 7/2. We obtained 49/4. And this number na naka-square, siya yung ilalagay mo dito as the third term. And whatever number you added, you also need to add or subtract the last. Here, since may negative sa labas, i-multiply mo na yon. Negative times positive equals negative. That's why nag-plus dito. Pero kung wala yung negative, minus sa labas. But since may negative sa labas, kaya naging plus. Okay? And then next step, just copy, -1. And then, etong trinomial na to, na x squared minus 7x plus 49/4 is a perfect square trinomial. Kasi nga, nag-apply ka ng completing the square. Para makuha mo yung isang binomial na pwede mag-square, because ang lahat ng perfect square trinomial can be written as a square of a binomial. So to get the square of the binomial, extract mo lang yung square root ng x squared, or simply remove squared, kaya naging x. If the signs are alternating, positive, negative agad automatic. But if all signs are positive, positive ito. Since alternating a sign, positive, negative, kaya naging negative. And then, the number here, para wag ka na mag-isip, huwag ka na mahirapan kung anong lalagay mo number dyan. Kung ano yung quotient kanina. Kung nakuha mo yung 49/4, ano yung number na square mo? 7/2. Kaya naging 7/2. And then, automatic naman, i-square mo. Kasi ito combine dalawa, kaya naging 9/4. Makuha mo na yung vertex, change the sign, negative 7/2, naging positive 7/2. Ito naman yung k sa vertex, 9/4. So, ang vertex is h tapos k. Ang h, itong number na to, change mo lang ang sign. Kung negative, positive. Kung positive naman, negative. Ang k, nasa labas ng parenthesis. Kailangan mo yan para ma-plot mo kung saan yung vertex ng parabola. Okay. Edward, naintindihan mo? Na-answer ko ba? Thank you for asking that question. Any other question?
Saka po, kung yung perfect square trinomial, puro ang sign negative, ano pang ilalagay sign?
Wala, Edward, walang perfect square trinomial na lahat negative. Ang perfect square trinomial kasi, it only comes in 2 forms. Kapag ang perfect square, Erase ko na to. Ang perfect square trinomial, dalawang forms lang. Pwedeng lahat positive, gaya nito. Ganyan. Perfect square yan, lahat positive. Or alternate ang sign. Ganito. Gaya nung kanina, bawa ito. Ganyan. Ay, hindi ito. Positive dapat dito. Ito na. 4 dito. Tapos, 3. Perfect square yan. Lahat positive. Perfect square ito, pwede mong i-write na ganyan. X plus 1. Kapag lahat positive ang sign, automatic yung sa gitna, positive. Or alternate ang sign, positive, negative, positive. Pwede mong i-write na x minus, tapos sa gitna, sorry, hindi pala. X minus 2. 4x minus 4. Ganyan. Perfect square din siya. Plus. X squared minus 4x plus 4. Pwede mo i-write na ganito. So, basta kapag lahat positive, perfect square siya. Perfect square. Ang ano niya, ang square na binomial niya, ang sign lagi sa positive. Tapos kapag alternate naman ang sign niya, perfect square din siya. Tapos ang sign sa gitna, negative. Wala namang perfect square na ganito. Walang perfect square na ganito. Hindi siya perfect square. Pag ano na kapag lahat negative, hindi siya perfect square. Ang perfect square lang, pwedeng lahat positive or alternate ang sign. Kapag lahat positive, automatic positive. Kapag alternate ang sign, negative. Yung kanina pala na sample ko, trinomial siya, pero hindi siya perfect square. Kasi alam mo yung perfect square, pwede mo siyang i-write as a square of trinomial. Perfect square siya. Ito hindi siya perfect square. Pag hindi perfect square, hindi mo siya pwede i-write na ganito. Yung binomial, tapos naka-square. Okay na? Ano? Edward?
Okay na po.
Any other questions? Ulitin ko nga walang case dito sa perfect square trinomial na negative yung hulihan na term. Yung last term, pag perfect square trinomial, lagi siyang positive yung last term. Ang mag-change lang yung sign, yung middle term, pwedeng negative or positive. Pero yung last term, it is always positive. Sa perfect square trinomial. Kaya itong trinomial na to is not a perfect square kasi yung last term niya negative, 10. Kaya ginawa mo na siyang perfect square. Any other questions? Any other questions about writing the vertex form, getting the vertex, and lastly, yung graph. May question ba sa graph or malinaw? Yung pag-graph ng parabola. Marunong na mag-graph? Hello? Wala namang question sa graph? Wala daw. Question sa graph. Yung iba? Baka may questions kayo sa graphing. Paano mag-plot ng vertex? Basta always remember na kapag point siya, naka-enclose sa parentheses, may comma sa gitna, yung dalawang numbers. Yung unang number, sa x-axis yun. Tapos yung second number, sa y-axis. Ang vertex, dyan iikot yung graph. Kapag ang A negative, downward. Kapag ang A positive, upward. Ang domain laging X, element, yung symbol na ganito, erase ko na. Yung symbol na ganyan, element of real number. In short, ibig sabihin, ang value ng X, lahat ng numbers. Tapos ang Y naman sa range. So pag pinahanap yung range is Y kapag ang graph mo upward, greater than or equal. Kapag ang graph mo naman downward, ang Y mo, ang range mo, ang Y equals less than or equal. Tapos ano yung number? Kung ano yung K sa vertex. Axis of symmetry, yung value ng H sa vertex. Ang axis of symmetry laging X axis. x equals blank. Yung blank, yung h doon sa vertex. Kasi dadaan sa vertex yung axis of symmetry. Paano mahanap ang x-intercept? Let y equals 0. Use factoring to find the values of x-intercept. Laging dalawa ang x-intercepts. Paano mahanap yung y-intercept? Let x equals 0. Yung term na walang x, siya yung y-intercept. Diyan dadaan yung graph sa y-axis.